You ever feel the need to bring one of every single heavy weapon you have just in case? Well, good news, we can solve that by looking at the Chaos Obliterators and how they change throughout the editions. They first came into the game during 3rd edition with the first Chaos Codex released in there, and the initial models... they're a design choice, aren't they? They also didn't last very long, they could replace the exact same edition. So, they came in as a heavy support choice, a 0 to 1 choice, so only one unit of them, and squads of 3d6 at 60 points each. Stat line wise, Weapon Skill 4, Blitz Skill 4, Strength 5, Toughness 4, Runes 1, Initiative 4, Attacks 2, Leadership 9, and a 2+ save. Now, weapons. Right from the get-go, they had the ability to choose from a variety. For range, their options were Assault Cannon, Heavy Bolter, Las Cannon, Multi-Melter, Tring-Linked Storm Bolter, Flamer, and Tring-Linked Melter Gun. Close Combat, Power Weapon or Power Fist. However, there's a slight caveat with this. Do you want 6 Obliterators letting loose with Las Cannons? Well, tough, you can't. So, bar the Storm Bolters and the Close Combat weapons, each weapon can only be used by one Obliterator each turn, and they could only use the heavy weapons if they didn't move that turn. So say you had 4 of them, one could use the Assault Cannon, then one the Las Cannon, one the Multi-Melter, and then one the Heavy Bolter. This was an interesting choice for their introduction, as they still had the firepower, it just varied for each model when not in combat, really. Otherwise, for special rules, they're fearless, they can deep strike if allowed, and due to how slow moving they are never allowed to charge. And yeah, that is their initial introduction in 3rd edition, and it's definitely an interesting one. It definitely feels like a first draft of what they could become, as not terrible, but definitely a little clunky to use when, well, Havocs you could build as you wanted, and they were definitely cheaper to the Obliterators, so they did struggle to stand out a little. Still, Chaos got a second Codex in 3rd edition, and they got new models with it. And I will say, I definitely think that's a design improvement. They will say the metal ones with those arms could be interesting to work with if they were not pinned. AKA they love falling off. Now, the team obviously liked the idea of Obliterators, but clearly saw the need refining. So first of all, they moved to the Elite's choice section. They're still 0 to 1, but they're now 70 points, units of 1 to 3, and stat-wise, they've gained a toughness and a root. They've also gained invulnerable save, as they've gained demonic aura, and they still have the 2+ armor save thanks to demonic armor. So let's talk body weapons. This has changed a little. First, while the Obliterators can fire different weapons, they can also all fire the same one now. Their weapon options have changed a bit too. They now have las cannons, autocannons, missile launchers, but only frag missiles. No crack option. Heavy bolters, Tring-Linked plasma guns, Tring-Linked melter guns, and flamers. Melee, it's power fists, and that's it. So yeah, it's kind of been tweaked to fit the Chaos side a bit more, as the Assault Cannon is basically seen with the Imperium around this time, while the Autocannons always have been a bit more than Chaos when it comes to the Marine side of things. Special rules? Well, they're still fearless and can deep strike, however, they are now slow and purposeful. So good news, that means they can charge now if you want. However, they now always count as moving in difficult terrain, so you have to roll 2d6 and pick the highest result to see how far they're actually going. They can never sweeping advance, they always strike initiative 1, and even if they do charge, they don't get the +1 attack for charging. So yes, the Obliterators were more refined, and now a much more dangerous unit. Also, a little bonus thing for them. While they are a 0 to 1 choice for most forces, if you're playing Iron Warriors, that went away, so Iron Warriors could have as many as you allowed elite choices. Right then, off to 4th edition. No model change, in fact it won't change till 8th, but they did have some minor changes to the rules. So, did you like them being elite choice? Well, they're never going back there, as back to heavy support they go, and that's basically where they're going to live until 10th. However, they have lost 0 to 1, so anyone can have up to 3 units of them, or as many heavy support choices as you had. They're 75 points a model now. Weapon Skill 4, Let's Skill 4, Strength 4, Toughness 4, Runes 2, Initiative 4, Leadership 9, Attacks 2. So they're definitely a bit weaker. They're still units of 1 to 3, Armor save is still 2+, and they have a 5+ invul cell. Special rules, not really changed, still fearless, still got deep strike, and they're still slow and purposeful. But their weapons have changed again. So, the Power Fist is now just around. It's just here. They don't morph that anymore. The range weapons, well, now the entire unit must select the same one. So no more mixing and matching. Bit of a shame, but, you know, oh well. However, the weapon options have also changed a little again. Las Cannon, Multi-Melter, Plasma Cannon, Tring-Linked Plasma Gun, Tring-Linked Melter Gun, or a Tring-Linked Flamer. Honestly, it's a little bit of a downgrade. They got more expensive, lost some stats, and now if you want to vary the range weapons, you can't. I mean, then losing the 0 to 1 is cool, but yeah, it's a bit of a shame, and also if you had a bunch of heavy support options and they're one of your elite options, well. Now, 5th edition Chaos skipped. Hello, 6th edition. So they're still sitting in heavy supports. Still 1 to 3, now 70 points, and they've lost the leadership. The rest of the stats are the same. Now, special rules. Well, they're now considered demons, which gives them a 5+ invul save still, and they cause fear. They still deep strike and slow and purposeful, but they're now also officially considered bulky. Common options. They actually have some now. So, their armor is now considered flesh metal, still 2+ save, and they're still rocking the Power Fist. But they can now have Marks of Chaos. The Mark of Khorne is 4 points a model, Tzeentch is 8 points, Nurgle is 6 points, and Slaanesh is 1 point. They can also be made Veterans of the Long War for 3 points a model. Hey, they finally got some god-specific options and bonuses to them at last. What about their weapons, though? They've changed again, and now you can't pick the same weapons back to back. So let's say you chose a las cannon on turn 1, you can't choose las cannons on turn 2, but you then can get on turn 3. Also, the weapon list has changed again. It's now an assault cannon, heavy flamer, las cannon, multi-melter, plasma cannon, Tring-Linked Flamer, Tring-Linked Melter Gun, or Tring-Linked Plasma Gun. It's honestly an interesting time for them here. Here, have a bunch of marks and some more weapons. Yay! Also, you can't spamming the same weapons anymore, though. Okay then. Still, 7th edition rolled on past. Hello to 8th edition. And hello the new models. Now, I also want to briefly talk about something regarding to the rules going forward. After 7th edition, 8th edition onwards, it's kind of become a living system, and things constantly change. The stats and costs from this point on are going to be their codex stats and costs. If these have changed from when that happened, this is what the book says and what I'm going off of. Trying to find all the changes, it's really not been archived very well. Still, there's still a heavy support option, units of 1 to 3, and 65 points each. They're now Movement 4, Weapon Skill 3+, Blitz Skill 3+, Strength 5, Toughness 4, Runes 3, Attacks 3, Leadership 8, and a 2+ save. They're still demonic now, and thus have a 5+ invul. They also have Death to the False Emperor, so they're getting the bonus close combat attacks when fighting against Imperials. They also get Legion, Marks of Chaos, Demon, and Chaos Faction keywords. Also Cult of Destruction and Obliterator once. Now, they can Teleport Strike, which is 8th edition's Deep Strike, so they just have to do it 9 inches away from things. And, well, the weapon option's a little weird. It doesn't list a melee option there. All it lists for them in the codex are flesh metal guns. These are range 24, assault 4, strength 6 plus D3, AP D3, damage D3. So yeah, the days of the customized guns have now gone. For now. Still, the weapons aren't too bad, and I personally think these are their best models. Still, 9th edition time. There's still a heavy support, a 1 to 3 choice, but now, Movement 5, Weapon Skill 3, Business Skill 3+, Strength 5, Toughness 5, Runes 5, Attacks 4, Leadership 9, and a 2+ save. They're also now coming in at 90 points a model. They get the special rules of Let the Galaxy Burn like the majority of Chaos units. Teleport Strike is now Warp Strike. because that need to be renamed for some reason to be more chaotic. There's still also Traitor Astartes, Demon King, Cult of Destruction, and the usual keywords. Okay, special rules. Well, they're demonic, so here's that 5+ involved save. But they also now have unrelenting firepower. They don't get a penalty for moving firing their heavy weapons, and if they're engaged in range of an enemy unit, they can actually open fire with them at that enemy unit, though they are at -1 to hit to do so. Now, they have Crushing Fists in combat, Strength 10, AP -3, Damage 2, at least they've got that profile back. The Flesh Metal guns have now got 3 profiles. The range is always 24 inches, but they're now either Heavy D6+9, Strength 5, AP -1, Damage 1, Heavy D3+3, Strength 7, AP -2, Damage 2, Heavy D3, Strength 9, AP -3, Damage 4. So yes, they became more expensive, but tankier, stronger, and the weapons are more versatile again, making them quite a solid little unit. And now we get to where we are at the point of this video, 10th edition. And they're now 180 points for 2 models. Yeah, the days of having up to 3 of them are gone. Which does suck if you end up with an odd number of them now as well. You need to split them into like 2 squads of 2, or just accept you've got a backbencher. Yeah, this happened quite a lot with some units in 10th edition that's not unique to the Obliterators. Still, what are their basic stats? Movement 4, Toughness 7, 2+ save, 5+ invul save, Runes 5, Leadership 6+, OC 2. They gain the Dark Pacts of the faction, and can Deep Strike again, as we've gone back to calling it that again apparently. Their unique ability is Warp Rift Firepower. Once per game when using a Dark Pack, they gain the Indirect Fire rule. Their Crushing Fists are now Attack 4, Weapon Skill 3+, Strength 9, AP -2, Damage 2, so a little bit of a downgrade. The Flesh Metal guns are still around, and they've still got 3 profiles. Little more varied this time though. Focused Malice. Melter 2, Range 18, D3 attacks, Skill 3+, Strength 12, AP -3, Damage 4. Ruinous Salvo. Blast, range 24 inches, attacks D6, Skill 3+, Strength 8, AP -2, Damage 2. Warp Hail. Sustain hits 1, range 24, attack D6+3, Skill 3+, Strength 5, AP -1, Damage 1. So yeah, the Flesh Metal guns got made in some ways better, some ways worse, but when combined with Dark Pact, it's generally an improvement, but yes, a little weird for them. And that is where the Obliterators sit as of right now. They've been a little bit all over the place when it comes to their weapons and how they work, and having a brief stint in the Elite section before settling in heavy support. Still, they're definitely a fun little unit, and they're definitely one of the units in the Chaos Codex that just screams chaos, no matter the edition. It's always a fun one to use.